Long enough to cover the subject and short enough to keep it interesting. Welcome to Outta My League. I'm Nick Diaz, and apparently I'm going to have to talk LSU basketball fans off the ledge today. Will Wade can't coach. LSU will never be a basketball school again like they did back in the day. It's over. Like I always say, take a deep breath. LSU is still tied for first place in the SEC with Auburn and Kentucky. Auburn has to go to Kentucky, and LSU gets Kentucky at home. And no, I'm not being a sunshine pumper. Okay, yes. Will Wade has done a poor job of coaching this past week against Vandy and Auburn. Yes, this LSU team still hasn't matured enough to stop giving away second-half leads. Yes, this team still doesn't have a true point guard. And yes, LSU fans, for some reason, are still lukewarm to embracing the basketball program. I tried to figure out why. Some guy on Twitter told me, well, if LSU would start winning SEC championships and go to Sweet 16s more often. Dude, where were you last year? That's what they did last year. So, one rule I've promised myself as a broadcaster, one rule, is never to tell fans or listeners what they should or shouldn't do with their time and money. What I am going to do, however, is offer my biggest changes, the 5 biggest changes I would make to LSU basketball. So if I were Will Wade or Scott Woodward, here would be the 5 things I would do to help improve LSU basketball program and take it to another level. Cue the music. Number 1, let's start with the obvious. The PBAC needs to be renovated. When I look at Ole Miss, Auburn, Houston, Arkansas, Georgia, these non-traditional basketball powers, it looks like they're having more fun than LSU fans. Now, they gave Will Wade a beautiful Jumbotron, which is one of the best in the country and one of the biggest in the country, if I'm not mistaken, the biggest. But the rest of the arena looks like it was built in 1988. The next thing I want to have, and this is more of a personal taste, I don't think it's too much to ask, but I really would like the state of Louisiana outlined to be in the middle of the court with the LSU logo. I'll give you some pictures. Look at North Carolina or Texas. Look at their courts, for example. That looks awesome and would look awesome to have that in the PMAC. And considering the boot up moniker has really taken off, it makes a lot more sense. But more importantly, in renovations, I would also do this. I think the future of sporting arenas and stadiums is to have a smaller capacity. This is for all sports. Less is more. And if you look at Auburn this past Saturday, or if you look at Houston's new arena, which LSU played in last season, it's fantastic. The fans are on top of you. It feels more intimate. And, by the way, LSU doesn't have any box suites for their boosters or their TAF donors. They need to get those. Which brings me to my next solution. Number 2, move the student section back to the middle of the court. Well, Indiana and Kentucky and North Carolina and Kansas and their student section, it's behind the basketball goal. Great, except those schools live, breathe, and die basketball. Kansas literally invented the sport of basketball. Look it up. Hell, Indiana's arena looks way worse than LSU's, but now you want to know why they don't fix it? Because they never have an attendance problem. Those people live and die and breathe basketball. They sell out crowds even when their teams suck. LSU must move the student section back where it used to be, move it across from the players' bench, facing the TV cameras. Now, the question becomes, how do you get younger people to come to the games more often? Number 3, Will Wade needs to do more politicking around campus. Bruce Pearl at Auburn is constantly going to the frat houses, sorority events, tailgates at football games, trying to get more involved with students face to face. Look at even Les Miles, a former LSU coach. Look at him at Kansas this past offseason. Les Miles, of all people, was at a student tailgate flipping red Solo cups and playing beer pong with the students, just to get the students more excited talking about the football team. Most of the LSU basketball faithful are old Piccadilly eaters. The 7 and 8 o'clock games aren't good for them. You gotta help inject new blood to get the ball rolling. So yes, Will Wade will have to hold up a sorority girl doing a keg stand. If Les Miles can flip a few cups and quarters, so too can Will Wade. Get the young, rowdy people excited again. Number 4. Schedule bigger brand names in November and December. I admire Will Wade for how brilliant he is at making sure LSU gets a winnable schedule that at the same time helps their NET rankings come Selection Sunday. But one of the biggest problems LSU basketball faced this year was that LSU football was winning deep into their postseason. And many fans, hell, even people in sports media whose job it is to cover that, they all admitted they were slow to catch up to the basketball team. LSU will always be a football school. They will. You don't want to change that because it's great for the athletic budget. It makes the most money. So to combat the lack of basketball intensity in November and December and keep people more aware of the basketball team during overlapping seasons, Will Wade and Scott Woodward need to schedule traditional Power 5 or Big East schools in basketball. LSU's best non-conference win this year, you know what it is? It was, at the time, an undefeated Liberty team that's still doing very, very well. And it really helps their NET rankings. Great! But if you're going to complain about attendance, don't try and explain to people the importance of beating Liberty, because nobody knows what Liberty is. I'd rather LSU schedule a bad Georgia Tech team or a sub-500 Michigan team at home. I'd rather them schedule those games at home than a really good Liberty or James Madison team in December and November. So no more Butternut Community College that was a 14th seed in the tournament last year. Get big brand names early and often. Number 5. Last but certainly not least, our good old friend, parking. I have 2 proposals. Number 1, do what Skip Bertman has suggested many times, which is the least costly. Move LSU's track and field further down Nicholson Drive near the open grassy area next to the natatorium where the swimmers practice. So there's this open grassy area that's right in front of the natatorium. It's a little bit further down Nicholson. What you do with that open space that where the track and field used to be, you build a parking garage. It's right next to the PMAC. Or, my idea, option number 2, and I don't think this is crazy, build a pedestrian overpass across Nicholson Drive next to Skip Bertman Drive. Kind of like what Blue Bayou has across Highland Road. For those of you who have been there, there's an overpass from their big parking area that goes across Highland Road straight into Dixieland and in Blue Bayou. It's a brilliant idea. People don't have to back up traffic walking across the street. Students and fans get hit by cars all the time on that corner. So basically, you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I say choose one of these 2 options or just find another brilliant option. I don't think any of what I've suggested just now is unrealistic. Okay, except for maybe Will Wade holding up the sorority girl doing the keg stand. Maybe don't do that, but you get the point. Tell me what you think. Comment. I think this could really help. Thanks for listening to Out of My League. If you like what you heard, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. See you later.